Have you checked the pennies hiding in your pocket lately? Most people glance at a 1978 Lincoln cent and spend it without a second thought. But what if that ordinary-looking coin was quietly waiting to change someone's financial future? Imagine discovering that a single 1-cent piece, overlooked for decades, could attract the attention of elite collectors and, under extraordinary circumstances involving an exceptionally rare error and top condition, be valued as high as $778,000. Before you dismiss that possibility, stay with me, because the smallest details could mean the difference between 1 cent and a life-changing payday. The 1978 Lincoln 1 cent without a mint mark was produced in Philadelphia, where pennies traditionally carried no mint mark during that era. Hundreds of millions entered circulation, making the standard version incredibly common. Yet history has taught collectors one unforgettable lesson. Common coins sometimes hide extraordinary secrets. Every year, a tiny number escape the mint with unusual characteristics that transform everyday pocket change into headline-making treasures. Now here's the exciting part. Not every valuable coin announces itself. Some look perfectly normal until a trained eye notices something unusual. Could yours be one of them? That's the question that keeps collectors searching through old jars, dresser drawers, and inherited collections every single day. Among the most desirable discoveries are dramatic off-center strikes, broad strikes, double die varieties, die cracks, clipped planchets, and other genuine mint errors. Add brilliant original surfaces, razor-sharp details, and an untouched, uncirculated grade, and suddenly the conversation changes completely. Serious collectors compete fiercely for elite examples because truly exceptional coins become increasingly difficult to locate as the years pass. Think about it for a moment. How many people tossed a 1978 penny into a coffee can decades ago without ever looking twice? That's exactly why hidden treasures continue appearing today. Sometimes they're discovered in estate collections, sometimes inside forgotten piggy banks, and sometimes they're sitting in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to examine them carefully. Here's something that might surprise you. The smallest mistake can make the biggest difference. A tiny doubling visible under magnification or an unusual strike caused during production could dramatically increase collector interest. Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Yet that's exactly what makes coin collecting so fascinating. But don't rush to celebrate just yet. Millions of ordinary 1978 pennies are worth only face value. The real challenge is separating an everyday coin from one with genuinely rare characteristics. That's why experienced collectors inspect every detail under proper lighting and magnification before reaching conclusions. Patience often rewards those willing to look closer than everyone else. Imagine opening an old family coin box this weekend and spotting a bright 1978 Lincoln cent. Instead of ignoring it, you inspect the date, the lettering, Lincoln's portrait, and every edge. Suddenly you notice something unusual that most people would never recognize. Could that single observation become the beginning of an unforgettable discovery? Stories like these continue inspiring collectors across America because remarkable finds still happen. While a valuation approaching $778,000 would require an exceptionally rare combination of authenticity, a significant mint error, outstanding preservation, and strong collector demand, extraordinary coins have repeatedly proven that surprises still exist in the world of numismatics. So before another penny disappears into a cash register forever, take one more look. Your next handful of change could contain nothing special, or it could hold the coin that everyone else overlooked, the one collectors dream about, and the one that reminds us fortune sometimes hides in the smallest places imaginable. Have you checked the pennies hiding in your pocket lately? Most people would never imagine that a simple 1979 Lincoln cent could spark a collector's frenzy and in extremely rare circumstances, certain extraordinary examples with the right combination of condition and minting anomalies have captured astonishing attention. Before you spend another penny without looking, stay with me, because one tiny detail could make all the difference between ordinary change and an unforgettable discovery. In 1979, the Denver Mint struck billions of Lincoln cents. At first glance, they all appear nearly identical. Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait sits proudly on the front, while the Lincoln Memorial appears on the reverse. To millions of Americans, these coins were simply everyday money. But experienced collectors know that history often hides its greatest surprises in the most common places. Here's where the story becomes fascinating. While the overwhelming majority of 1979 D-pennies are worth only face value or a small premium, a tiny number stand apart because of exceptional preservation, dramatic minting errors, or unique characteristics that serious collectors pursue with remarkable passion. Those are the coins capable of attracting extraordinary auction prices, reminding us that rarity is created by perfection, mistakes, and timing all working together. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies sitting in a jar on your shelf? Exactly. Most people don't. Collectors carefully inspect every detail. They search for strong strikes, brilliant original surfaces, unusual doubling, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and other genuine mint errors. Even the smallest difference can completely change a coin's desirability. And here's the exciting part. The finest known examples certified in elite condition can command incredible prices in the competitive collector market. Headlines about spectacular auction results often inspire treasure hunters everywhere, with exceptional Lincoln cents sometimes being discussed alongside six-figure rarities. Some stories even circulate about values approaching hundreds of thousands of dollars, with figures as high as $779,000 mentioned for extraordinary, one-of-a-kind examples rather than ordinary circulation coins. That's why authentication and professional grading are so important before drawing conclusions about value. But don't rush just yet. Imagine discovering what looks like an ordinary penny, only to learn it possesses a rare minting characteristic overlooked for decades. It has happened before, and it continues to fuel the excitement of coin collecting across America. Here's the funny part. People will spend 20 minutes searching for their television remote, but won't spend 5 minutes checking a jar of pennies that has been sitting in the kitchen for years. Strange priorities, wouldn't you agree? The real lesson isn't that every 1979 D. Lincoln cent is valuable. It's that knowledge creates opportunity. The collectors who consistently find remarkable coins are the ones willing to slow down, learn what to look for, and recognize the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. So, before your next handful of change disappears into a vending machine or donation jar, pause for just a moment. Examine every date, every mint mark, every unusual feature. The next incredible discovery won't announce itself. It will quietly wait for someone curious enough to notice. And perhaps that someone is you.
Have you checked the pennies hiding in your pocket lately? Most people glance at a 1987 Lincoln cent and spend it without a second thought. But every once in a great while, a single ordinary-looking coin surprises the collecting world. Imagine discovering that a tiny piece of copper you've ignored for decades could be connected to an extraordinary collector's market. Before you rush to empty your change jar, there's one detail that changes everything. And missing it could mean walking away from a remarkable opportunity. The 1987 Lincoln 1 cent with no mint mark was struck in Philadelphia, where pennies from that year normally carried no mint mark at all. That means the date alone is not enough to make a coin valuable. What separates everyday pocket change from an exceptional collector's prize is outstanding condition, genuine mint errors, and authenticated rarity. That's where the story becomes fascinating. Think about it. Millions of these pennies were produced, yet only a tiny fraction escaped the mint with unusual characteristics that collectors eagerly pursue. A dramatic off-center strike, a double design, a broad strike, or another verified mint error can completely transform the value of what appears to be an ordinary coin. Suddenly, the conversation changes from 1 cent to thousands, or in the rarest documented cases involving extraordinary errors and elite preservation, values that can reach astonishing levels in the high-end collector market. Now here's a question. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny instead of tossing it into a drawer? Exactly. That's what makes this hunt so exciting. Collectors understand something the average person doesn't. They know that patience often pays far better than luck. A coin with sharp details, original color, minimal wear, and a certified mint error becomes more than pocket change. It becomes a historical artifact, frozen in time since 1987. But here's where many people make a costly mistake. They clean their coins, believing they'll look more valuable. Unfortunately, cleaning usually damages the surface and can reduce collector appeal. Ironically, the dirt you want to remove could be protecting the very value you're hoping to uncover. So how do you know whether your penny deserves another look? Examine the date carefully. Study Lincoln's portrait and the lettering with magnification. Search for doubling, unusual strikes, missing design elements, or other authentic mint-made anomalies. Compare suspicious features with reliable references, and if something truly stands out, consider professional authentication before making any decisions. Stories continue to emerge of forgotten collections being rediscovered in old jars, desk drawers, and inherited boxes. Most coins turn out to be ordinary, but every experienced collector knows that remarkable discoveries still happen because someone took the time to look instead of assuming. Some exceptional certified examples associated with significant mint errors have been discussed with eye-catching price tags approaching hundreds of thousands of dollars, with figures around $787,000 often cited for extraordinary specimens under unique circumstances. Those numbers do not apply to ordinary 1987 pennies, but they remind us why careful examination matters. One overlooked detail can separate an everyday cent from a conversation piece that collectors compete to own. The next penny you pick up may never change your life. Then again, neither did anyone else's until the moment it did. The real treasure isn't found by the person who spends every coin. It's found by the one who looks twice before letting history slip through their fingers. Have you ever looked at the loose pennies in your pocket and wondered if one of them could quietly change your financial future? Most people toss them into a jar without a second thought. But every now and then, an ordinary-looking Lincoln cent hides an extraordinary story. The 1988 Lincoln 1 cent with no mint mark is one of those coins that has sparked endless conversations among collectors because the right combination of rarity, condition, and unusual minting characteristics can transform an everyday penny into a remarkable discovery. Before you spend another cent, you may want to take a much closer look. Millions of these pennies were struck in Philadelphia, and because Philadelphia's cents of that era normally carried no mint mark, finding one is easy. Finding one that stands out is an entirely different challenge. That is where excitement begins. Collectors aren't searching for ordinary circulation pieces. They are searching for exceptional condition, dramatic minting errors, and tiny details that separate common coins from the truly unforgettable examples. Now imagine opening an old coin jar inherited from a parent or grandparent. You brush away years of dust, expecting nothing more than pocket change. Then a single bright copper-colored penny catches your attention. Could this be the coin everyone else overlooked? That simple question has inspired countless treasure hunters across America. Here's where the story becomes even more fascinating. Some of the most valuable Lincoln cents owe their incredible prices to rare mint errors and pristine preservation. Double impressions, off-center strikes, dramatic die varieties, and exceptional uncirculated grades are exactly the kinds of characteristics serious collectors compete for. While most 1988 pennies remain worth only face value or a small premium, The rarest certified examples with significant collectible qualities have generated astonishing headlines and fueled dreams throughout the hobby. Every extraordinary sale reminds collectors that condition and rarity matter far more than age alone. Take a second and think about that. A coin smaller than a bottle cap can sometimes command more attention than a luxury car. Funny how the smallest things in life occasionally make the biggest noise. But don't stop looking yet, because one detail could make all the difference. Examine the date carefully. Study Lincoln's portrait. Inspect the lettering and the reverse design under strong lighting. Even tiny differences can determine whether a coin is simply another penny or the beginning of an exciting conversation with a professional grading service. This is also where patience defeats luck. Many valuable discoveries weren't made by experts with expensive equipment. They were made by ordinary people who slowed down long enough to notice what everyone else ignored. That is a lesson worth remembering far beyond coin collecting. As the search continues, remember that headlines about spectacular prices represent exceptional coins, not the average example. The true reward comes from learning how to recognize genuine rarity instead of chasing impossible myths. Knowledge is what separates collectors from dreamers. So before another handful of pennies disappears into a cash register or a forgotten jar, pause for just a moment. Your next discovery may not only reveal a fascinating piece of American history, but it could also become the coin that every collector wishes they had found first. Sometimes remarkable opportunities arrive, disguised as the smallest piece of change in your pocket, waiting for someone curious enough to look twice. Have you checked the pennies hiding in your pocket lately? Most people glance at a 1991 Lincoln cent and spend it without a second thought. But what if one ordinary-looking coin carried a story that could completely change the way you look at everyday change forever? While millions of 1991 Lincoln pennies were made for circulation, a tiny number stand apart because of remarkable minting errors, exceptional preservation, and collector demand. Under the right circumstances, a single coin has been associated with values reaching an astonishing $791,000. Before you dismiss that penny sitting in a jar, stay with me, because the smallest detail could make the biggest difference. The 1991 Lincoln 1 cent without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Since Philadelphia traditionally did not place a mint mark on Lincoln cents during that period, seeing no mint mark is completely normal. That is exactly why so many people overlook them. The real treasure isn't simply the missing mint mark. It is discovering a rare combination of characteristics that separates one coin from millions of ordinary examples. Imagine opening an old coffee can filled with pennies collected decades ago. You expect nothing more than spare change. Then one coin catches the light just a little differently. It looks sharper, cleaner, more vibrant. Could that be the one? That's the question that keeps collectors searching every single day. Now comes the exciting part. Certain 1991 Lincoln cents have attracted tremendous attention because of dramatic off-center strikes, double die features, broad strikes, die cracks, clip planchets, or other unusual minting errors. These mistakes happen during production, creating coins unlike the rest. Add an outstanding uncirculated condition with brilliant original luster, and collector interest can climb dramatically. But here's something many people never realize. Two pennies made on the very same day can have completely different values. One may only be worth a single cent, while another could command thousands because of its condition or a rare error. That's why experts always recommend examining every detail before spending an older coin. Here's a surprising thought. If pennies could talk, imagine how many would beg not to be tossed into a vending machine. Strange idea, right? Yet history has proven that remarkable discoveries often come from ordinary pocket change. This is where patience becomes your greatest advantage. Use a magnifying glass. Look closely at Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, the date, and the reverse featuring the Lincoln Memorial. Search for doubling, unusual strike quality, missing design elements, or anything that appears different from a typical coin. Even small imperfections can tell an extraordinary story. As collector demand continues to grow, premium examples become increasingly difficult to locate. Every year, more high-quality coins disappear into long-term collections, making exceptional survivors even more desirable. That growing scarcity creates excitement across the numismatic community and fuels intense competition whenever remarkable pieces appear. But before you start planning your dream vacation, remember one important truth. Extraordinary values belong only to coins that possess genuinely rare characteristics and are professionally authenticated. Most 1991 no-mint marked pennies are worth only face value or modest premiums, while only exceptional error coins or superbly preserved examples achieve significant prices. That is exactly why your next discovery matters. The penny resting quietly in an old drawer could simply be another cent, or it could become the conversation piece every collector hopes to find. The only way to know is to slow down, look carefully, and never underestimate the hidden possibilities inside ordinary pocket change. Your next life-changing discovery may already be waiting in the palm of your hand.